So, blessed are those who drive their feet off a blackened pond, for they will inherit the question of reality. Yeah, so for my first video essay, I have decided to yap about Y2K, a postmodern RPG, because why not? Why not indeed? The game has resonated with me on some deeper level than other games usually do. Not sure how that came to be, but the fact that it still happened is pretty invaluable to me even. I got a pretty twisted interpretation of the events that transpire in the game, so I might as well share that with whoever ever stumbles upon this video, which I hope doesn't happen too often, because I wouldn't want to make me some new enemies. Well, I don't have any enemies. Well, anyway, wouldn't want to make any enemies in YIIK community. I guess I don't even know where to start, so might as well begin from the beginning. Oh, I know what I can do. I can just utilize my screenshots folder for better, like, immersion. Kinda. So, the entire game is, I could argue that it's a figment of its protagonist's imagination, maybe. Albeit it's pretty difficult to say for sure who even is the protagonist in this game. For instance, some believe it to be Alex Eggleston, while others figure it to be like a very first incarnation of the Essential 2000, Nyla Elamin, but I don't think that's the case. Like, neither Alex nor Nyla are involved. Neither Alex nor Essentia even. To generalize my area of expertise, sort of. Anyway, there's also that William character, which replaces Alex at the very end. Well, not replaces, more so represents, but yeah. Which I normally figured him as the actual real protagonist, since, well, is it okay if I jump straight to the end of it? I'm not sure if that's okay. Then again, who said this should be linear? I don't think this should be. This video essay is not dedicated to any kind of newcomers, you know. This is not to introduce people to the game. This is to give my own input, so do just that I shall, probably. Anyway, since William being a host for Honest Man, kind of, he's ultimately saved by Asuka Furutani, a Japanese actress with a firm grip on reality, which is sort of obvious, but it's been confirmed. So since it's been confirmed, it's safe to say that she is more or less grounded in reality, at the very least. Though it's a bit of an overstatement in my opinion to consider that there is a reality in Y2K in the first place. I don't think there is one. The whole game is, well, the protagonist's digital soul vessel, I guess. Therefore, I don't think anything can be trusted properly. Like, there is no real reality ever demonstrated to you in the game. And yet, characters like Kisage X, like Asuka Furutani, And pretty much the whole movie cast sort of seemed to be real, at least in relation to like the digital soul vessel that the game is, or well, the original quest is. For I really don't think it's just the original quest, like the normal new game. I think New Game Plus is at least partially a digital soul vessel as well. The digital soul vessel spot, a layer maybe, especially due to the fact that you still get to see Michael's Mind Dungeon there, like all laid out before you. Makes you wonder, you know. Plus it's still, I think might as well give a shout out to superbpudding here, my one of my friends, um, from YIIK community, uh, who is more or less fond of what I like to refer to as deviation perspective thinking. And I mostly agree with her on that. So, NG++, well, New Game++. Wait, no. It's over now. I slipped, and I'm not going to cut anything out for this video because I suck at doing that. Okay, back to this. So, what superb figures, or at least figured, and what I now to figure to be the deviation perspective of the original quest, like the actual Y2K, well, the like the entire game more or less, since Y2K2 is like just a few hours, I think. Well, that depends on your playstyle, but it's not a long addition to the game. But it's a sequel, alright? But at the same time, it doesn't make it too different. No, because there's a deviation perspective, and I think I had a proper term for deviation perspective, but I'm not sure. I might as well look it up on onism1999.com, hosted by Linguistic Spaceship. Wait, no, it's hosted by Hellcry, I think, but it's kept alive by Linguistic Spaceship. Well, anyway, deviation perspective. Well, okay, in my own terms, deviation perspective is just just a different perspective on the events unfolding, like a different character perspective, or something like that. Another standpoint provided to view the events with. So YIIK2 is basically Cyril's deviation perspective of YIIK2. That's it. Oh, wait, no. Fuck. I keep sleeping. Again, YIIK2 is Cyril's deviation perspective of YIIK. That's it. Yeah. So, I don't think it's perfect either, because it's debatable whether Cyril is real in the first place too. I mean, of course she isn't. No one in the game is real. It's all fiction. But I think that fiction is well aware of its fictitious nature. For one, I'm pretty sure Kisaga X brings up how he's contacted by X Studio, therefore Andrew Allenson, Brian Allenson, to basically to do whatever they tasked him to do. To do whatever they tasked him to do. I'm not sure if I pronounce it right. I hate my accent and I don't speak English, so ignore that. Oh, I mean, that's what I say when I know I suck, so yeah. I suck, so therefore I don't speak English. Okay, this is getting converted into a self-loathing, right? Real damn. Honestly, I like this his posting format. I don't have any script laid out before me. I'm just yapping. I'm actually worse than Alex Eggleston. But Alex Eggleston isn't real, and I am real. But regarding Alex Eggleston, to get back on topic, pretty sure he knows he isn't real either. He knows he's a fictional character, he knows what he's meant to represent, what he's meant to be like, and perhaps that's why he is unable to really change. Like, he is attempting to change genuinely. If you can't see that, it's odd, because I think he does. I've been thinking that way since, like, the previous version. I first played the game when it was still, like, 1.25. And now it's IV. Or, well, 1.5, maybe? Oh, IV. And I might as well just read my Steam review from all the way back then. Besides, might as well train my English vocals for that. Yeah, so my review went like, this could be yet another I'm so yeeking out right now review, but no, I want to genuinely remark on how actually fantastic this game is. Be wary that it is postmodern, and therefore it's probably a bit of a mindfuck to perceive it as something meant to be easily perceived. But why would you start a game with no desire to get into it wholeheartedly anyway? The only complaint I used to have is the battle system, but by the end I managed to not only get used to it, but also grew to enjoy it. So, yeah, it ain't half bad either, and there's a giant update coming soon anyways. I also happen to relate quite a bit to a very unlikable protagonist who, well, at least attempts to grow, you know. And the fact that he sucks so much at so many things just goes to teach anyone playing a lesson. To anyone, just goes to teach anyone playing a lesson on who not to turn out in life, which I say is also worth the time invested. Plus, it explores the twistedness of the mind exceptionally. This here is probably one of the finest pieces of postmodern art out there, and I say that having read quite a few gems, and having also written and made a few YIIKs of my own too. So I do recommend this to literally everyone, if they have the courage and desire to immerse themselves in it anyway. Discussing this game in one small company would probably be the best experience as well. Yet sadly I happened to lose just about the entirety of my societal circle, of my usual social circle, so yeah, that's how my review went. I could yap for hours on how profoundly influenced the game, or how profoundly I was influenced by the game. But that's not the point of this video. For honestly, I already doubt that I will ever release this video. It just sucks. It was supposed to come out on my original channel, but I think I might just make another one for that. On the contrary, who fucking cares, really? By the way, that who fucking cares is pretty applicable to Alex Eggleston. Back to my interpretation. I think he's pretty self-aware to a degree, or more like aware that he's fictional, that he's a character, and therefore lacks proper will. So he can't apply that will to himself to embrace any meaningful change. He can but try and try again, and never really succeed. And it makes perfect sense to me that the only way to actually deal with him in his Stolpa's final instance as honest man is to forgive him, to grant him forgiveness, to gift him forgiveness. I mean, he's a pretty lost cause, much like I am. For one. I mean, consider this. Imagine I have written a book, in which you are a character, in which you're an unlikable character, so you're predetermined to be one. But since you're a character, you also can like develop in various ways. It depends on your desire, kind of. But you're still a fictional character. You're still puppeteered by your author, much like Alex is. And I think it's perfectly fine if the author made it so the character in question is aware that they are in fact a fictional character who is in fact aware of the author. Like that, I guess. And that's the crust of it, I think. What's why it's called Digital Soul Vessel? There is a soul, but it's digital. So it's not really real, kinda. What's why it's so easy to replace Alex with William? Well, to represent Alex with William, not replace. To represent Alex's father with Wilfried. To have Alex be parallel to Wilfried and William. To both at times. To Yuzu, who briefly appears in that cutscene in the Essential 2000's Mind Dungeon and such. Parallels are pretty important for you to easier figure out the game. So like, Chandra is parallel to Michael. I wonder why that is. I mean, it mostly figures. Right, Michael is not unlike Alex himself. We're not unlike at all. I'd say that just about every single YIIK character is stuck in a sort of loop. Obsessed with the idea of chasing something. For Michael it's Allison, for Alex it's Sammy. For Alex I think that sometimes derails. And for Nameless it's the party. Yes, I think Nameless Child is the chaser as well. One of the chasers as well. But I think on a more global scale, the game is chasing the player. Now I don't want to sound like wet one YIIK reviewer who once approached the game from like the perspective that the game wants to make a player feel uncomfortable. No, I don't think that's the case. I just genuinely think that the game, as in the DSV, the Digital Soul Vessel, and therefore the inhabitant of that soul vessel in question, for the sake of argument, let's say it's Alex. I think it's just Alex chasing the player. I had a very long theory about that. Well, not too long, I guess. But it's regarding semi-pack being parallel to the player. And the Nameless Child being parallel to the player too. Let me see if I can find it, because I'm not sure I can. yiikcord. Damn, I think it's because of the streamer mode that I'm unable to properly search for it. Or actually, wait, I think I used the word brainwash there. Yes, I found it. So, I crafted this theory back in 2024, like on December 20th. So I'll read it now. Back before going to sleep, I randomly ended up ruminating some more on some even more surreal hypothesis. I assumed the Nameless Child could ultimately just represent the player. I stalled at some point, unable to find a proper explanation to her attachment to Dalivo, but it honestly doesn't sound completely far-fetched to me. Michael finds Allison's soul unique and unparalleled, always stresses his life for Carrie, no matter fact or fiction. Actually struggled with that a little, but now I may have also figured out how Alex and Crow having to fight Nameless in the Former's Mind Dungeon to get new card ties into that I'll read this one, sorry. I actually struggled with it a little, but now I might have also figured out how Alex and Crow, having to fight Nameless in the Performance Mine dungeon to get new Carta, ties into that. It's yet another representation of Alex attempting to brainwash the player into basically alternate him. Moreover, why'd I think that in the first place? I just randomly thought that Sammy's disappearance, with Sammy apparently being the Nameless Child too. I'll elaborate a little bit more on here, on this part. Like, when you get to Mount Onism Tower, well, Tower in Mount Onism, at the very end of New Game Plus, at the very end of Y2K2, at some point the Nameless Child gets to find out her real identity, which is apparently Senepak. Well, visibly so, anyway. I'm not sure how accurate that is. I probably misinterpreted it, but it works with my interpretation. I don't care. Anyway, back to the theory in question. I just randomly thought that Sammy's disappearance, with Sammy apparently being the Nameless Child too, could be a very clever nod to the conscious player themselves getting lost in the game, like, say, I'm doing right now by these half-grounded reasonings. Sammy Pack going missing and begging Alex before that makes sense to me. I wouldn't want to get lost in his fantasies. Her suicide later could work as Alex's imagination, attempting to will the player's self-dissipation into his reality, yet he still pursues her. Carrie's suicide could be a nod to that too, even though it sounds a little too elaborate for just highlighting the player's ego death. Come to think of it, failed ego death sounds familiar. I think Isagi X mentioned that at some point. I'm prone to overthinking, however, so all that is probably nuts, but honestly, factoring Alex's nature in, I wouldn't put all that past him. He's really done for, poor dude. Yeah, like that. So I grew to mostly equate the Nameless Child with Sammy, and Sammy with the player in turn, and seeing how when you get to play as yourself, the player, at the very end of the original quest, like YIIK, you are shown to be alternate Alex, which is just false. Like, it's obvious, you are not Alex. You might want to be Alex, but God forbid you want that. But you are not Alex. No, just no. Because he's fictional, you aren't. Yet you get to play as yourself, and the yourself you get to play as is clearly alternate Alex. He even says that himself, but that's not true at all. I think that's like the end of his chase, like the more abstract chase. Like, you are parallel by proxy to Sammy Pack and like to Allison in Michael's case, because Michael gets to kiss Allison, or well, Nameless at some point, and the camera then switches to you. Therefore, I think it kind of refers to you as the player. And since Michael is not unlike Alex, they both chase, they ultimately chase you. Now, why would they chase you, the player? Oh, well, that's because they are fictitious, fictional. They're not real. They need you to acknowledge them. There's also a thing known as the dark game. It's probably most commonly used to describe the new battle system, but I think that's a little bit more intricate. Oh, no, I'm not sure. I need to read up more on the dark game, but its goal is to be seen. That's what I remember, at least. And that kind of matches what I interpret the entire game to be. Alex and Michael both want to be seen. And just as Alex and Michael want to be seen, so does the Essentia. But Essentia largely is seen throughout the game already. Like, she's pretty much the main antagonist, alongside Wilfred, I figure. And, well, you could say that she is, you could say she engages with Alex in the first place because he, in his chase for a player, is imperative for her to be perceived as well. So, like, if she is perceived by one third party, and that third party is in turn perceived by a fourth party, well, by you, and then that would still validate Essentia as well. So it's all about being seen, being acknowledged, recognized, and such. That's why I don't really believe the engine of YIIK 2 to be the true happy engine, despite Andrew Ellison clarifying that it is indeed the true happy engine. I mean, I guess canonically so. Well, there's no real canon to YIIK probably, since it's open to interpretation. It's postmodern. Oh, but regarding its postmodernism, I have a few words to say as well. I figure it to both critique and criticize several grand narratives at once, while building up a sort of false grand narrative on its own, with the entire digital soul vessels, shenanigans and such. It criticizes the grand narrative of of one's perception of reality as absolutely universal. And therefore, since it delves very deep into that, it may seem like it criticizes reality too, because Alex criticizes reality, because he cannot really exist in it. But I don't think he hates it, like even the reality as it exists in YIIK, like, well, assuming there is one. I don't think he hates it because come on, the game is based on reality. I mean, as everything postmodern is. There are various nods and homages to... Is that how homage is pronounced? Is H silent there? Who fucking cares anyway? But yeah, the game is full of various references, like Haruki Murakami and his novels. Well, there is actually a whole references page you can access from the main menu, so that kind of works too. And I think that's pretty much vital. So vital that, like, well, it provides a link to reality, I guess. But Alex got a very twisted perception of it, due to his fictional nature, obviously. Like, that's why he's so broken and so delusional, because he just... Well, come to think of it, doesn't it just make sense for fictional characters to be delusional, because they are fictional? They're almost never delusional, I think, like, at all. But take Don... How was he pronounced again? Don Quixote, I think? I'll actually look his son up.
Don Quixote.
Class. Don Quixote. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. It makes sense for characters like Don Quixote and Alex to be delusional. But not because they are archetypically delusional, but because they are fictional. Fiction tends to just embellish the nature of reality to tell a certain story, But if fiction ever focused on how it's fictional in and of itself, then you'd just get Y2K. So I don't get why the game was so slandered on its launch. Like, come on, guys. This is a postmodern RPG, even though it really is just like, well,
Did you hear me?
I think it is what it is.
That
No,
style got a name?
It's executed wonderfully like that, as opposed to like
What are you looking at?
many other things.
It's an original sin.
I can't believe I've been yapping for half an hour now.
Soul
Wow,
immortalized in an act of evil.
I'm quite the honest man myself.
Thing is an original sin.
But I think I have more or less covered my interpretation at this point. It probably sucks. I know none of you will like it. Not a single soul that dares watch this escapade of mine. I might consider making like subtitles for this video, because my accent is probably so thick that you can't comprehend a single thing I'm saying. Though I was able to speak with Henry Ellison, and then sure was able to understand me, I guess, as were others too. Might as well give a shout out to my friends like Yonker, or well, the Ace Bruhgil, to P.P. Jones, to WilHeHehe, to Kasey, to Amy. To woke yiikcord in general, not to confuse with original yiikcord.
That's what cursed me.
This is disgusting.
Do you really think I could be done
I had
with
a
this
dream
just like
about
that
it.
now?
Black,
No.
like oil,
Now I will proceed
A
about
woman
the third
emerged.
ending.
wielding a sword.
I will speak about it for hours, because I'm an obsessed maniac.
What
Just
happened when you
kidding.
drank it?
No, I won't.
I had a vision.
But I do think like I need to say something
An
else.
entity reached from the depths and
Now, what
drowned
could
me.
it be?
And since then, you've been stuck in a fantasy.
I could bring up the records again
Pro?
and tie them into my own interpretation. You see, no, the records, like
I'm here
vinyl records,
and somewhere else.
are pretty
In the dark
omnipresent in Y2K, to the
Speaking
point
to the
that
entity
even the all this the all symbol kind of looks like it has a record at its center,
Stop him.
at its
I'm
center,
moving too.
which is probably not really accurate, but
Seeing
yeah,
this
the
now?
motive persists. Ah,
What a
I'm
strange
mostly concerned
affliction.
about the broken record, because I figure a broken record represents the broken reality,
Told me that I was an original
and
sinner.
broken reality is
Somewhere.
mentioned quite often
than here.
throughout YIIK,
I
just about as
was
often as
so evil.
where do I begin?
It tore a hole in the
The phrase, I mean,
Did
not
it
the sound.
really say
But
eschaton?
anyway, a broken record is a
What
broken
it
reality,
anyway?
because I think the record,
Something we
a
can't talk
record,
about.
well, some particular record probably, is of vital
Did you cut
importance
the fall
to
through my roof?
Alex, or whoever there is in the digital soul vessel. Even though they are fictional, I still maintain that thesis,
Far away from
thesis, whatever. I
I'm
still
an
maintain
artist.
that point.
Propaganda.
How come
So that people accept his
the record
appearance.
is so important?
Honest
To a
man
fictional
doesn't
character.
have a body? What does that mean?
Well, because they are sort of recorded in the
He's
first
in a man
place
at all.
themselves. Like,
He's something else.
they are recorded within
don't
the game's
understand.
memory, within its script, within
What's your
now
plan?
the cultural
Burn cadavers.
DNA of like
Burn all
media,
dead.
the entirety of media.
In a vague memory of another self.
The record is the reality. They are the record, kind of. But in more adequate terms of
In a fiery
making
pit
myself
on a distant
clear,
world.
I guess the
You
record
think
is
that will
just
work
something
here?
that may have been somehow important to Alex, or maybe it traumatized him
Then we'll
deeply,
look for
so he
corpses.
carried it over into his fantasy. Yeah, the record. Then there was that broken record quest, which is largely presumed to be Semi-Pug's doing, like the entire quest, and the record is yours, kinda. Which also can work with my interpretation of Semi-Pug being parallel to the player, but I'm not sure if that's the case here, because well, Semi-Pug is still a fictional character too, so just as Alex is. So since it's all a big illusion, a big delusion even, largely produced by Alex, I'm positive that's his record,
The woman seeks to
not
make
someone
an
else's.
egregore.
But he hid it himself. He
How
hid
does
it
the man
in
really
order to never
institute?
come back to reality, to never
What
return
sort of
to this
demon is
awful
an
world.
egregore?
You know,
It's a
Samepak
spiritual entity.
at some point says that the world has
Many
used her
minds are
so
made one
unkindly.
through a fixation
And
on
I
a
think
single
that
name.
that can parallel both the player, since
She
you
seeks
could
to make
argue Alex
artificial
Eggleston
parallel redundancies of her soul.
has used the
How
player
can someone
unkindly.
resist him?
Kind of. Well, I don't think
Discerning
it's
of the memes
kind
you
at all
repeat.
for him to enforce his
It
interpretation
has
of events
away
onto mine,
cancerous memes.
to impose it on me. But I don't think it's too that big a deal. But for the sake of hyperbolization,
Discerning.
that still works, I feel. So yeah.
I drank from the blackened
But
pond.
alternatively, you could also view it as
Will I be cast away?
Alex
Memes can
using
be
another
cast
character
aside,
to project that line of reasoning
not people.
out there.
What
The
about
world has
the
used
meaning
him
of a
so
person?
unkindly. Kind of.
A person is
That sounds
more
so
than
dumb,
their
I know,
memes.
but why not, really? Like, the broken record as a broken reality uh, is broken like a double-edged sword of sorts. It is defiant of false reality that Alex immerses himself within. Like, oh, I never said that, but the game more or less opens up with a phone call in which Alex is informed that the record of a needle, no, the needle of a record player has dropped. I don't remember how it went after that, but yeah, the needle of a record player has dropped, and can't you hear the music? It's everywhere, or something like that. So the music, the record, everywhere, reality, omnipresence, boom. That's just Alex Eggleston and his twisted worldview, I guess. So his false reality is represented perfectly well with his broken record. Like, broken record just screams at him. This reality is broken. Like, there is no music here. This record is broken. Probably I recently learned that. Yeah, I'm dumb. I recently have learned that apparently broken records get stuck on repeat. But I think my point still stands. Like, this is not real. This is broken. This is no reality. And at the same time, it could represent what he originally thought of the actual reality from which he came, I guess. But I don't think he really did. Though it also makes sense for a fictional character to deem the real world pretty broken, because to them, their home dimension is fiction, I guess. That's really fucked up, I think. Like, my interpretation. But it makes so much sense to me. I could probably yap about it for much longer than just almost 40 minutes now. But it's getting a little bit too uncomfortable to stare at the blackened pond for so long. Yes, I think that black screen that OBS Studio is capturing as I am speaking is pretty much a black mirror. a blackened pond too. Much like the internet, much like autism in the game, much like knowledge in and of itself. I figure. This was terrible, wasn't it? Damn it. What a failure, Glenn Rosenfeld. Should have tried better. Oh well, at least I'm sincere in my delusions, you know? Let's get this over with.